Hello there guys, Elita Legionarii here, and today I am bringing you a 4-player free-for-all for Medieval 2 Total War. Pretty rare that I would be doing a free-for-all on Medieval 2, they're not very common, but here's one here. I'll be in command of the Mongols, and my opponents are the Holy Roman Empire under the command of Paladinbob, Portugal under the command of Pikenshot-Portugal. I can't particularly recall the guy's name. Now, choosing the Mongols in a free-for-all like this is a pretty risky choice because it asks quite a bit of them, considering that this was a 5-2 max cav rule, and they don't have much in the way of infantry. It's always a bit of a challenge to use them, especially considering that my opposition is particularly Spain and Portugal are extremely powerful factions, but the Holy Roman Empire is still very good against the Mongols as well. So it was a bit of a gamble build, gamble faction choice to be honest. The build's about as good as you can expect from them. I have 1 bodyguard, I have 2 Khan's Guard and 2 Mongol light lancers. All these have got attack upgrades and experience upgrades. I actually haven't bothered with defense upgrades. I'm going to be very, very aggressive with my cavalry. I need to quickly seize cavalry supremacy in whatever fight I choose. That's my battle plan for that. For the most part, I'll use mainly it's just to support. I have 2 dismounted light lancers and a spear militia. This is merely a screening force, just to stall, fix or hold anything just for a short time, or anything like that, while I mostly use my archers to do quite a bit of damage. I got one dismounted heavy archer and 4 Mongol infantry. I also have 3 units in NAF a turn, so I had to make sure I use them carefully as well. So that's my army. Then we have Paladinbob. He's playing in the Holy Roman Empire, of course. Now, Swedish Landsknecht was telling me about this build that Bob's got taken to use in Medieval 2, and it seems like a double layering of Landsknecht pikemen. He'd probably do it with just about any pike unit. But he's actually got 6 Landsknecht here, but he's only made it appear as if he's got 3, but he's like mixed them in together. This is to give them a massive density, almost like in comparison to what pikes would be like on Rome Total War. It would be highly unadvised to approach from the front because it would probably hold you up forever. However, it would also mean his formation is fairly static, so going around the flanks is an advisable option. So it's probably what I would do had I fought him, but I actually don't end up fighting Bob. Well, I do, but not right away. Then he's got 4 dismounted Imperial Knights or 2 on each flank, 4 altogether. Then he's got 4 Pubbies Crossbowmen, I think. No, he's got 5 Pubbies Crossbowmen. Then he's got 1 General's Bodyguard and 4 Teutonic Knights. Now he's not upgraded as at least defensively he's not upgraded as Teutonic Knights because they've got no armour, or they don't have the normal plate armour. So that's his army. Let's have a look at Pikenshot's army. He's got, he's got 1, 2, I think he's got about 4 Pubbies Crossbowmen. Then he's got several Pike Militia and Aventuros. I think he's got like 2 Pike Militia and 2 Aventuros, I think. Wait, no, he might have 3 Aventuros. Then he's got one Swords and Militia there, another one on the other flank, and then 4 Dismounted Conquistadors. No defensive upgrades anyway. Then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 Conquistador Cav with some decent upgrades on them, I think, and General's Bodyguard. So he'll always be dangerous, especially with this faction. Portugal can be dangerous. And he's a Spanish player. He's got, he's got 4 Tertio Pikemen. Looks like he's got 3 Pubbies Crossbowmen, 1 dismounted Chivalric Knight, and 5 dismounted Conquistadors with defensive upgrades on. Then he has 4 Chivalric Knights. So that's the Spanish player's army. Now, I looked at his build, I thought he's probably if he's going to play like this defensive build, I'm actually going to be alright against him, even though Spain is actually the strongest faction on the field at the moment. You can always kind of tell by the builds and the way people work if there might be an easier opponent. Now, I had the choice between Bob or Spain, and I initially thought about Bob, but I thought all these pikes, and what probably really made up my decision not to attack Bob was these Teutonic Knights, because they are comparable to Khan's Guard. They're actually probably better than Khan's Guard, at least in a melee fight. They've got very high charge as well, and I would probably lose my cavalry advantage, or lose too many cavalry trying to kill these cavs. these Teutonic Knights. I just thought to myself, and if I lose my cav, I'm going to lose because the Mongols need their cav. So I thought Spain, the Chivalric Knights would be easier than those Teutonic Knights. And all these pikes will hold me up for a long time. I mean, the Spanish player's got pikes as well, but Bob's formation of pikes is probably more dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push up steadily on the Spanish player, but I was always keeping an eye on Bob, so I wasn't sure if he was going to attack me. But Bob was gentlemanly enough to ignore me and go for Portugal, so that was really good. So I was starting to move up now, as you can see. But as you can see, what I'm going to try and focus on doing is I'll probably just shoot up his pikes a bit. But what I'm going to try and do the most is I'm going to try and isolate his cavalry from his infantry, so I can quickly destroy these Spanish cavalry as fast as possible and still maintain a good horde of my own. So I'll use a combination of my own cavalry, Napatoons and fire arrows to achieve this. I'm going to try and destroy his cavalry before any of this can help it, basically. So if I can get these units split apart, I can destroy the Spanish army. But if I'm to fight them together, I'm going to have a very hard game of myself. Probably would have an immensely hard time achieving that, to be honest, because Spain is the best faction in Medieval 2 and is a lot better than the Mongols, just because they cover every area. They've got pikes, missiles, infantry, cav. They've got everything. And they've got good quality of everything. I've only got a few bits and pieces. I mean, I've got very poor infantry. I've got some decent archers and they've got good cav, but that doesn't compete with Spain, so I have to play it very, very cautiously here, and I have to try and destroy this cavalry and still have decent numbers of my own left after I do it. I mean, Chivalric Knights are no slouches either, so I have to be pretty careful, and it means I have to try and get his cav isolated away from his infantry. He, in fact, actually ends up helping me in achieving that, which is great, because he sends his cav quite far out this way, which is going to be quite handy. So I'm just going to move up and occupy some of his Pubby's crossbowmen. Now, I don't want to get into a duel with his Pubby's crossbowmen, because Pubby's crossbowmen have a very high defensive capability, and they will take a long time for me to kill, and the armor piercing, so I will lose quite a few numbers if I make it hang around too long. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to use my Khan's Guard and my General's Bodyguard to kind of cause some distraction over here, this cav, and I'm going to try and use my Mongol Light Lancers here just to run some quick strikes in here, try and force them back, get a few kills off, try and just disrupt them and stuff, because he's sending his cav way out. He should never really do this. You don't want to isolate your cav too far from your infantry, because a smart player will go for your infantry and get a quick charge in, or some missile units like I've done here. So as you can see, I basically destroy this unit of Pubby's crossbowmen before he can do anything about it. So I'm just going to repeat this kind of thing, charge in out a little bit, and do what damage I can, just try and get a few quick kills off. Do a bit of damage. Now, these guys didn't get their lances down, unfortunately. Now, I decided to go around here, see if I can perhaps snag a quick wee charge in on one of these infantry units before the pikes can screen them. And that's what I'm trying to do there, basically. So, again, I'm trying to get rid of some of these units here, but he got quite close to his pike, so I pulled back. And I'm using my spear units just to support my cavalry here in case he was going to charge me. Now, here I decided to have a go at some of these conquistadors. However, I don't disengage very well. As you can see, they quickly routed there. I did take about 15 of them down, but these guys actually routed under that. But they will come back because they're pretty fresh. So it was a quick wee nudge there at some of these guys, and it will do a bit of damage. Now here comes the cavalry engagement. I managed to get my cavalry to engage his and get better charges off than his, and I'm pouring in my spearmen to support, and I'm quickly going to run my Napatoons over here as well, so I can try and rout these guys fairly quickly. And I'm going to start pouring in fire arrows with all my guys to try and reduce their morale more, because if I can reduce their morale, it'll help me keep my cav numbers good. Now in a grind down fight, I should probably have the advantage with my Khan's Guard because of fire, because of the mace. These guys are now coming back, so I can hit the flanks of these guys here. Now my Mongol Light Lancers here, they're doing pretty well, but I don't want to leave them in this for too long, especially with pikes coming, so I'm going to just start disengaging them now, and I'm going to recharge over here with these guys, and I'm going to support with Napatoons. Now they're going to rout, but they will come back over here. But now I'm going to disengage again, and I'm just going to keep pumping Napatoons and fire arrows in the hopes that I can get these Spanish cav. So as you can see, I've successfully managed to isolate his cavalry from his infantry for the most part, which is exactly what I was trying to achieve the entire time. Because by achieving that, it enables me to basically It just enables me to destroy that component, so I still have a good number of cav left to take on his infantry, which I'm going to need in the case of Spain. So here I see some of his conquistadors are here, and they got at some of my Nafatoons, so I'm going to try and get them out as quickly as possible, because if I lose my Nafatoons I'm in trouble. So I'm going to use my spearmen just to hold them up. I don't expect to win that fight, but with Nafatoons, fire arrows hitting them in the flank, I can probably cause a rout on these guys, even though these guys are going to get smashed. Over here, as you can see, again, I'm isolating his cavalry and trying to destroy it as quickly as possible. Now, I've still got this unit of Khan's Guard in practically full numbers. Not full numbers, but very nearly, probably 75%. I charge in here and circle the remainder of his units here, trying to quickly destroy them before these pikes can come and support. And I got this unit running rear charges on these guys, and there's fire arrows and Nafatoon shots coming in. So these conquistadors, and I'm trying to get this general's unit, because if I get his general's unit with these conquistadors, that will really help me rout the remainder of his forces. So I'm running in cav charges, and I'm Nafatoons and fire arrows, and as you can see, I kill his general here, and all these guys are shaken up pretty badly, and I can just keep dumping Nafatoon fire in. As you can see, I'm going to attempt another cav charge. Unfortunately, they kind of run to these pike units, which wasn't exactly what I wanted there. That was a bit of a nuisance, because they got snagged, but it wasn't too drastic. But there's plenty of Nafatoon fire coming in, and with the fire arrows, I've still got pretty decent cav numbers for what I need to do here, as long as I can just isolate these units, because as you can see, my opponent starts losing all cohesion now, and if he keeps doing that, it's just going to be easy. So here I see a unit of conquistadors here, but my guys don't really get a very good charge because of the way they kind of came in on that angle. It was a bit annoying. But I'm pumping fire arrows into these guys here at point blank, and it's doing quite a lot of damage because it's so close, and as you can see, they're shaken. So if I can just shock the morale enough, the damage will be pretty substantial. So I'm going to start disengaging from away from this part of the fight, because I don't want to fight his conquistadors in this fashion. As you can see, so I'm going to move these guys around to get some flank shots, and I'm going to use my cav units just to get rear charges and stuff. And as you can see, some of these Spanish troops, his cav infantry is taking a pretty big beating, and they're still getting Nafatooned in the flank as well, which is routing them pretty quickly. So I'm just isolating units that are kind of isolated, obviously. I'm trying to isolate them further and destroy them. As you can see, I managed to rout these hordes of conquistadors as well. And I'm just running as much cav interference as I can against his own infantry. Now, I think this unit actually got into loose formation. I didn't even realise I'd done that, and they stayed in this formation for quite a while. I didn't realise I'd even put them into that, so there was a bit of an error on my part. But as you can see, my opponent has lost all cohesion in this particular fight. As you can see in the background, Bob and Pike have not yet engaged. They were probably just sitting here, moving to position and enjoying my fight as I get to enjoy theirs. So I'll be able to show you their fight utterly. So my general just died, which is a bit of a nuisance, but it's not too drastic. As you can see, I'm using my Nafatoons just to continually bombard them, and as you can see, I managed to rout 2 lots of them just because of that, and one of them is a conquistador as well. And I'm trying to pick up routers while I can, and try and keep the routes going, basically. As I said, trying to defeat Spain is always kind of tricky, especially with the Mongols, but because I was able to isolate that cavalry, it was actually a lot easier than it otherwise would have been. So now I'm kind of just mopping up what's left of his troops as best as I can, and I'm trying to get rid of some of these Pubby's crossbowmen, because they are a nuisance to me, and could be a problem if they're allowed to shoot me too long. So as you can see, I've taken fire arrows off for the moment, as I don't suspect morale on these guys is very good. I need more actual damage, more accurate damage than fire arrows. The fire arrows would help rid myself of the cavalry as quickly as possible. As you can see, I'm just picking up what units that are routing, making sure they don't come back, because I don't want them coming back, obviously. And I wasn't sure if this was scored or last man standing. In fact, I'm not entirely sure what it was at this stage, to be honest. Pikenshot never told me, even though I asked him. So I was trying to get kills, but I was also trying to be the last man standing at the same time. So I just pour my actual archer, Mongol infantry, and dismount heavy archers into these knights here, because they're already pretty shaken up, and as you can see, they're routed. That's what I like about these units. They're actually pretty good in a melee fight. These archer units for the Mongols and the Timurids, not great, but they're quite capable as well, though. So you can see, I've basically finished off the Spanish player at this stage, and I'm just picking off his routers and trying to get some kills. So as we can see at this point, there's a missile duel beginning between Paladinbob and and Pikenshot. Now Bob's doing better. Now that'll be because he's got defensive upgrades on his Pubby's crossbowman, whereas if we look at these Pubby's crossbowmen for Pikenshot, he does not. So as you can see, you can tell by the armour, it's just lighter on the Portuguese ones. So Bob should win this kind of fight. As you can see, he is winning this kind of fight. Now he's taken some damage in some places, but he's definitely winning this particular fight. But their advantage in upgrades is probably with Pikenshot's cavalry, and perhaps some of his infantry too. So I mean, they both got advantages in different areas, but in a protracted missile duel, Bob's going to win this, so he's happy to let this drag on, and so his Pubby's crossbowmen are firing away here quite happily. He's put his infantry into loose here, which is good idea, and he needs to watch these Landsknecht because they're so tightly packed that even stray hits will do quite a bit of damage, so he needs to be careful of that, of course, but I'm sure he is aware of that, or was aware of that. As you can see, Pike's now starting to move aggressively. Now this is the thing with Bob's formation, it's going to be very static if he wants to try and maintain this, and this would be great in a particular area on a map where you could force your opponent into it, instead of, on the grassy flatlands there's lots of ways to, he'd go right around it, which is basically what Pikenshot's going to do, which was smart, because it's what I would have done as well, and it's what I imagine most players would do, simply because going around it means you can avoid it and then break it up. Which is, as you can see, he's starting to push his cav forward here, and he's moving in, and I think he sees an opportunity here to get some of these exposed infantry units, but I think he pulls back when he sees Bob charging in, and Bob's actually going to get the superior cav charges, I think. Okay, no, Pike might have just managed to skip around them, very clever. Now Pike moves in, he gets a very nice charge against Bob's infantry here. That's going to be pretty brutal, but he is going to get smashed in the flank by Bob's cavalry, and he still hasn't managed to destroy all those infantry, so that, even though it was a good charge, it put him in a disadvantaged position. Over here, Bob has managed to sandwich his cav here, so that means he's definitely going to win this fight. But then comes the General's bodyguard unit here, but Bob pulls off and he's ready to face that. Probably doesn't get as good a charge, but nonetheless he's going to do a bit of damage. And this is what I was initially a little bit concerned about with the idea of facing Bob, was because these Teutonic Knights are solid, they're hard to defeat. Conquistadors are a good match for them though, and they have got more upgrades, well some of them do, these ones do, so he's actually winning on this side of the fight. As you can see, Bob's trying to use his Imperial Knights to hold up his Conquistador infantry and other units, because as you can see he's moving around Bob's pikes, and as you can see it gets very messy on both sides of the field as these two are trying to coordinate their forces. And it's pretty close in the cav fight, but Bob probably got the initial better phase of it, but over here his pikes and Tasmanian Conquistadors are winning on this flank. Over here he looks to be winning this particular Pike appears to be winning this particular cav section, and his infantry pound for pound will outperform the Imperial Knights, although I think Bob managed to get a bit more damage in initially with a good cav charge or something like that. So Conquistadors will defeat dismounted Imperial Knights, with this additional cav charge these Imperial Knights will rout. So it appears they're kind of won each other's flank. It's still pretty close over here. I think Pike is winning this flank a little faster than Bob's winning this one, but Bob's still got his General's bodyguard, which is always a good unit to have. Both of them have still got cav roaming around the field, and that is dangerous for both of them really. They still have to watch that. So as you can see, Bob's going to get a quick charge through here. He decides to change his mind because there's a Conquistador here. He's going to pour in one of his Landsknecht to support, and some of these Conquistadors are coming in to support as well. So it's still pretty tight over here, but it's more Portuguese units in the vicinity, so he's got the advantage. Over here Bob has managed to pour more infantry units in, including his bodyguard, which routes this side. So Bob is now taking command of this side of the field. So it's really just a race to see who can do it quicker to get that overall advantage so they can support the other side. And so far Bob is winning that race because he's managed to win over here, and he's pouring in, as you can see, some of his Pubby's crossbowmen, which are in good numbers. There's still a few Pubby's crossbowmen there for Portugal, but Bob did win the missile duel for the most part, or he took the advantage in it, and he's got enough forces over here to hold up these forces well. So at the moment Bob is taking the lead, although there are still some conquistadors around here running a fair bit of interference on Bob's infantry and slowing him down. So Pike needs to quickly mop this side of the battle up fast before Bob can reinforce it. But Bob has just come over from the other side and he is now able to reinforce it. So because Bob won his side a little bit faster, he's got the edge. As you can see, I'm sitting in the background just waiting. They waited for me, so I'll wait for them. But I want to move in pretty quickly when I see a winner and try and take command over that fight. So Bob gets a nice rear charge into these conquistadors here. And I think, no, they hold. No, they don't. They rout. But Bob's lost his forces over here. But he's been able to reinforce, and he's got quite a few Pubby's crossbowmen, so they'll get some nice shots in. So at this stage, some of these, as you see, Portuguese units are routing, so I'm probably going to be putting my money on Bob at this point, but you should never discount Pikenshot. He's a good player, but Bob has got more edges, although I have noticed some of these units are coming in from over here from Pikenshot. But Bob probably has more numbers overall, so he's probably got the edge. There's still some of these Portuguese cav. I'm not sure why he's taking them all the way out there though. It's a bit of a dangerous move because Bob's free to try and get these Portuguese infantry and use his cav to support. So here Bob's going to make a quick cav charge into the back of these Aventuros, and he's going to do a bit of damage, but he doesn't disengage fast enough there. As you can see, he pulls his Lanchneck pikemen in, but the dismounted conquistadors and the Aventuros are going to be able to defeat. The Aventuros will outperform Lanchneck, but Bob's got numbers in the vicinity for the most part, so he's got some feudal knights, dismounted imperial knights rather supporting, so he's got the numbers, so that does make the difference. And of course he's coming in from the flank now with these other pikemen. So as you can see, he is starting to rout these guys here. So Bob's starting to take a bit of an edge. Sorry about that, guys. I had to pause the recording to, or halt the recording temporarily to check on something, but it's all good. So as you can see, Bob is again, he's taking that infantry edge, and there are still some conquistadors that were out here cav, and they're running a bit of interference on Bob's Pubby's crossbowmen. Well, oh no, wait a minute, they're back here. Sorry, that must mean something else. This is a mistake from Pike. He's giving time for Bob to coordinate. He needed these cav to be down here to support his infantry, so Bob has managed to take the advantage in this fight. So at this stage, I think I didn't realise or notice that Portugal had these cav here, so I think he's sitting there waiting, thinking I was going to attack, and I actually decided to attack because I didn't realise these guys were, because they're so far away, I didn't really notice them, because all I saw was all these routing units back here, and I thought, well, Bob won this fight, so it's time for me to go in. So I started attacking at this stage. I would have waited had I known there were more of Portugal's forces back there, but honestly, that was an honest mistake. I didn't really spot them. So as you can see, Bob's trying his tight pack formation again, but this isn't to my favour because I can just use all my archers to target one unit, and every shot's going to be a hit. He's going to quickly lose these Lanchneck pikemen pretty rapidly to my archer fire, as you can see. And I still got lots of ammunition left in these guys. I had at least half my ammunition left. So Bob is going to lose a lot of his pikemen if he keeps this formation up, which is exactly what I want him to do. So I just didn't rush him, I just took my time and shot him. In a moment though, I'm going to send what's left of my cav, which as you can see is very little. I've got one unit of Khan's Guard with 6 and my general's bodyguard with 6 men, so 12 cavalry altogether. At this stage, Pikenshot brings his cav in to get rid of these last units in the back of Bob, and I looked over and I thought, oh damn, he had units left. I didn't realise that because Bob kind of ended up getting tag teamed at the end here, but I wouldn't have done that. I didn't actually see those cavalry until just then, but at this stage I thought, well, I'm already attacking, so I'll just finish it up. So I just charge into these Pubby's crossbowmen to quickly finish them, and he's bringing in infantry support, so I'm just going to disengage and disrupt, and I'm just going to keep shooting his pikemen here. As you can see, he's lost a lot of his pikemen. He's lost at least half the ones he had there just to my archer fire alone, so it's pretty nasty what tight packed pikes, kind of tightly packed pikes take to archer fire. It's unlike in Rome Total War, they don't have a big shield up front to support them. like say like the Raw Pikemen or Spartans or Sacred Band or something. They don't have they don't have a shield, so you know they take pretty nasty damage to misfire in medieval too. So as you can see, Bob's pretty isolated now. I'm still taking shots at him. I'm just going to run around, see if I can pick off some of his Imperial Knights and Puffy's crossbowmen while his pikemen are running around like this. And if they're running around like this, their flanks are turned as well, which means I get more hits on him, do more damage to him. It only makes my life even easier. So as you can see, Bob's kind of a bit doomed really. He can't, if he doesn't move, he gets shot to bits, and if he does move, I find ways to open up gaps in his line and pick off little units, and I'm still shooting him as flanks are turned, so he's really not got much he can do at this stage. So as you can see, I'm going to try and run these guys down, and I'm going to start pushing up, I think, in a moment. I think I'm going to start bringing up these last remaining dismounted light lancers, and I'm just going to finish off what's left of Bob's last men. So I'm just going to go to double speed. I might actually go triple speed actually. And as you can see, I'm just charging in, trying to get rid of these last Imperial Knights while I can, before these pikes can interfere. So I managed to get rid of those, and I'm just running away again. Got to bring up my Nafatoons here, because they'll be able to help me finish off the Portuguese cav, because that Portuguese cav will destroy my cav because it's got high numbers. And I needed to be careful I didn't let too many of my forces die, because the whole point was it could be scored resolution, which I wasn't aware of. So I'm trying to run away from his cav here because I don't want to lose them. So Bob is now defeated. The last of his forces are defeated, and I'm going to try and get these conquistadors to engage. I'm going to turn my cav around and face them here, and I'm going to put fire arrows on again in the hopes I can quickly rout them, and I'm going to use Nafatoons to try and rout them as well. And I've got my spearmen as support. So as you can see, they're taking point blank fire arrows and Nafatoon fire, and that routs them basically instantly. And that leaves me as the last man standing basically, so I'll just get rid of these last few routers. So as you can see, I come off as the last man standing, and I assume it must have been a last man standing game because I won. So it must have been a last man standing because I mean it definitely gave me the win. I mean I had the most kills, but score doesn't always work that way, because as you can see, Bob is only 15 kills short, and I mean I only have 80 more captures than Bob, so pretty tight scores between me and Bob, and Pike's still got a very respectable 690, but I managed to destroy the Spanish player pretty decisively. So if we have a look at my stats, as you can see, my bodyguard, Khan's guards and Mongol light lancers, high kills and captures. The Mongol infantry, which is the archers, that's all pretty good kills really, very few losses. Nafatoons 57-36, that's pretty nice, because usually they don't get many kills, they just cause routs, but occasionally they'll get quite a few kills. So it was a pretty rewarding one, this one, to be honest, because to come across and win a free-for-all with, you know, especially with Portugal and Spain, and of course the Holy Roman Empire is no slouch either, with the Mongols is pretty tricky. I mean the Mongols are alright like 1v1, but when you go take on several opponents with them, they often run out of momentum. But because I was able to isolate that Spanish cav pretty quickly at the start, I was able to take down Spain, which is really rewarding, because Spain is definitely a much better faction than the Mongols. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this fight. I will of course link Paladin-Bob's channel. He managed to recover it, so that's great. I will link his channel in the description. Be sure to drop by and check it out. He will appreciate it, I'm sure. So thanks for watching guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments guys, tell me what you think. I love reading feedback, and it's always good to see. So thanks again guys, and I'll see you soon next time.